the biggest game of the season so far?
Well, I suppose in the context of progressing on in a competition, yes, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because if we'd have won our first 2 games, we'd be sitting there saying different. I mean, it's just one of those things. Whether it's the biggest game of the season, I don't know. I would never really like to say that you have one big defining game in your year, unless it's a final. So I would say no. It's just a game we should be really looking forward to. There's some real positive outcomes from it if we play well. And the one positive outcome is that we can go to Munster with something to play for. That's something hugely positive. If you go, I've said to the lads already, if you go to Munster with something to play for, you're effectively in the last 16 of Europe. Because if you win the game, your likelihood you go through. And I know we've got to wait on Gloucester's results and Castres' result. It's Gloucester, of course we do. But actually, if we win and we go there with something to fight for, we're effectively in a straight knockout in the last 16. And you'd probably take that in a lot of ways if you talk about the top European competition being in the last 16. And that's something we've got to really fight for.
Castres haven't had the greatest run of results in the last couple of games. They shipped 54 points against La Rochelle last week, lost to Bordeaux the week before. Have you been able to study those games and perhaps have a look at where you might be able to take advantage?
We have, but we also did see them beat Grenoble this weekend, so they've bounced back. they've bounced back a little bit. I mean, I think we've looked at those games. We've also looked at our game against them in the Heineken Cup and their games against Munster, because they probably maybe a bit more relevant than the French league games. Because they obviously showed them playing their Heineken Cup team and the way they probably have approached those Heineken Cup games. I mean, obviously we see a quality side. There's a lot of threats there, as they showed by coming back from being 14 points down against us and working their way back to a win. Obviously they showed a lot of spirit when they went down to 14 men. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of challenges there, but I think when there's a lot of challenges, probably the most important thing to do is focus on yourself. And we think there's a lot we can contribute to this game. We know it's going to be a sellout crowd. We know there's a lot hanging on it, but that often brings the best out of us in European games. And we've traditionally played pretty well here against French teams when our backs have been against the wall, and that's kind of where we are now. And as I said, I've just said to lads, let's just make sure it brings the best out of us and we enjoy the day.
And finally, from me, you had that European progression a few seasons ago. It was a relatively similar position. It wasn't the best of runs, and on the final game you got into it and you had to win to get there. The fact that quite a number of that squad are still here today, that must surely help the fact they've experienced a similar situation as they will do over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's what it kind of highlights, that actually you've got to get out on the field, whether people give you a chance or not, and just play and enjoy playing and go for it. And that's very much what we've talked about this week. Let's enjoy the game. Let's take everything out of it we can. Let's not be negative and nervy about it. Let's get on with it, and as I say, enjoy the occasion. And I think that's the approach we're really going to take.